Welcome to the Fundamentals Podcast, where we talk all things related to sports from a fan's perspective. And man, thanks for joining the show. If you're a first time listener, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let's get into it, man. What we starting out talking about, man? We want to talk about some of these trades. Do we want to talk about Milwaukee? Do we what we talking about? What we starting with, man? Where we at?
Let's let's get into some of these trades, man. Let's go ahead and start off with NFL. It's
Okay,
still right for the season.
okay. So what trade surprised you,
Tre'Davious White.
man? Hey, look, we had to look. Here's the thing, right?
I didn't expect that one.
I like. All right, so um, there was a couple people that have like a Rams podcast thing that mentioned him possibly either going to Washington, Baltimore, or
hmm
Kansas City. I think it was. Either way, the way I saw it, because people were like, "Well, we didn't get nothing for him." I'm like, for one, if you've seen his play this year, like it's not. He's been getting toasted all when he
Yeah.
did play, and he's been on the bench mostly. We gain, you know, $107 million, or we gained $1.7 million. You know,
hmm
and by getting them off the books, getting them off the, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah,
True.
it was kind of a dump, and I'm not mad at it because what was he doing? He was just hanging out on the bench. Really, I mean, he wasn't
Yeah. He
starting.
was
He would, you know. So it's like,
he was
you
a
know,
bench rider. That's a
yeah,
true. That's a
he
truth.
he's had his time. You know, he's not been. It's not like he's been in the league a long time, but he's had his chances, and as of late, it just ain't working out. He asked for a trade. You know, he wasn't. It wasn't like, I mean, he was on the bench. So we got 100. We got $1.7 million of space. I'm fine with it, man. Because what else were we gonna do with him?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I mean, I what were we
That's
gonna do?
true. That's true. That's true. I kind of didn't expect it though. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
It's just one of those things that I didn't expect or figure would be something that happened. That was kind of news to me.
yeah.
That Zadarius Smith going to
Where does Darius Smith go to? I know.
I know they needed him. Uh, Dang, I just saw it too.
I know. Well, obviously, you know what? Speaking of trades, though, one of the things I thought about, actually,
Detroit, Detroit,
yeah.
Detroit.
One of the things I thought about was, remember earlier this season we talked about how good New Orleans the defense was,
hmm
and them being really solid. And I said on here that's a really good defense. And then everything kind of just crumbled.
Yeah, fast.
Based on, you know, what they've done in terms of firing and the trades that they made today. Clearly, it is a destroy and rebuild situation for the Saints.
That's a fact.
Um, you know,
Complete rebuild mode. I think that's what they're in right now.
yeah, they are in complete rebuild mode. Let's see what we got. Um, speaking of that, the trades, would you Niners acquire depth?
Khalil Davis.
Yeah. Y'all got the Khalil Davis at defensive tackle, and y'all only gave up a 2026 sixth round draft pick for that.
Yeah, that was
So
actually a pretty
it's a
good
need.
pickup.
It's
That's a
a
pretty good
need.
pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a that was
Hey,
y'all. I'm not gonna say who won or lost it. It was just a good pickup for y'all.
yeah. I mean, ours is going to benefit now. Theirs is one of those wait and see if it's going to benefit them in the long run.
In
But
the future, yeah.
you don't give up much to get somebody like that. That's a pretty good pickup. I liked it.
Yeah.
I like that pickup. Now, of course, the joke of the whole entire thing of all the trade deadlines is Jonathan Minga going to the Cowboys.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Here we go.
So
Yeah.
I posted. Anybody listening to this that follows me on Facebook can see. Jerry Jones is doing this because that whole thing was simply just to say, "Hey, look, I'm doing something." That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, literally.
That's what it comes down
Because
to.
you
It's
really
like, hey,
you look at it from this standpoint, like at this moment in time.
yeah,
First of all, we know Dallas's issue isn't the receivers.
no, no, no,
I
no,
mean, you're kind of banged up right now, whatever, because they got
yeah,
to go
but it's
work
not
overtime.
right.
It never really. It wasn't the receivers. I mean, yes, you do. You're missing Cook. I mean, not Cook. Yeah, Brandon Cooks. Um, you're number two. Then you still got Ferguson. You still got as a tight end. They still. I know CD Lamb is banged up right now,
Yeah, with the
but
shoulder injury.
it was the running game, and
Yeah,
y'all ain't do
and the
nothing
defense,
for the running game, and your defense. Y'all ain't
and the
do
defense.
nothing for the defense.
Yeah,
You already ain't got your quarterback because you're already talking about putting him on IR for the next 4 weeks. So,
yeah. I
um,
mean,
so
Cooper. I mean, given how he has played, I don't Cooper Rush. You really ain't getting any worse. I mean, let's face it. Last year, remember Cooper Rush was what, like 4-1 when they got
yeah,
those five
but
starts.
yeah, but I mean, they looked a lot better at that time. They look
That's
trash
true.
now. So I mean,
Yeah, he said. I mean, he
so
said it
you
himself.
yeah, so you go out and you
At
get so you go out and you get Jonathan Minga. That's not moving the needle
all.
nowhere for y'all. Hopefully the boy can be good because he ain't really been playing much, but
Yeah,
you know.
he's got one catch for 1 yard in the last 3-4 weeks.
So it's like one of those things like, hey, he might end up panning out for y'all in the long run, but he does nothing for y'all now. And then
Nothing
y'all
now.
gave up a fourth rounder for him. Okay.
That's where the issue lies. So that's where I'm at with that. You gave up a fourth round. You gave up a fourth. A sixth,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
fair enough. A seventh, completely fine with.
I'll be okay with a
Even a
fifth
fifth,
rounder. You know
even
what
a
I'm saying?
fifth, but
Nah.
a fourth.
I hope you got a little
That's
bit of good faith in him.
that's
But
where the
he's
issue
not moving the
lies
needle for y'all none this year. So
at
that's
all.
one of those trades that was just like, come on, Jerry. Really? You
Yeah.
think this is gonna get? You should have been doing trades a long time ago. But
Yep.
whatever.
Facts. Yep.
Whatever. Actually, you didn't even have to do a trade. All you had to do was just go and get Derrick Henry. You would have been in a better spot than where you are right now for your Cowboys. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just face it, man. It's just it. If you would have spent the money like you needed to spend to go get people,
Exactly.
and then rebalance your books. However, you could have came with a different plan with some of these other people that you had to resign. Maybe get Dak to sign for a little less because you done brought in a Derrick Henry to help him out.
Yeah.
And then do a little contract restructuring, whatever you had to do. But
Yeah,
you
I
you
agree
you you
100%.
needed a running game. That's what Dallas lacks is a running game. They haven't had one since Ezekiel Elliott and
Yeah,
Pollard was
Pollard
back in the
was
backfield
together.
together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So y'all know that's always been Dallas's game a lot
MO.
of times.
Yeah.
Even though you
That's
you could pass the ball and Dak has amazing numbers, pounding the ball was always your calling. That
yeah.
line was always and the line.
Yeah.
You need to build up your line again apparently because you can't run the football.
Well, I think part of it I think what a lot of people saw against Atlanta too was a very boring basic offense.
Man, we've been seeing
I
that for all year.
well we've been seeing it all year,
We didn't talk
but
about that.
we've talked about it, but I think I I think that it's become more evident now. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
them making that trade just shows
And just
it
how
shows
out of touch and that Jerry Jones
Jerry
really
Jones
is, and or
is
really
exactly,
a lot of I don't give a. This is my team.
exactly.
You
Yep,
know, that's what that kind of
that's
gives off.
that's
Dallas,
exactly
I'm
it.
sorry for you fans. Sorry, but not sorry. But this is what your owner is all about.
Oh yeah.
This is what
Well,
he's about. He keeps
the
y'all in the
fans know it
news.
now. Yep, the
Yes.
fans know it now.
I mean, the fact that you just now noticing this, know it now,
Yeah,
y'all been going through this for a long
long
time.
time. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
sure indeed. Um, Pittsburgh and Green Bay made a trade.
Oh,
Um,
Mike Williams. Mike Williams gone to Pittsburgh now.
well, Mike Williams
The
is going to
Jets.
Pittsburgh from the Jets,
Mm-hmm.
and linebacker Preston Smith. Pittsburgh will
Mm-hmm.
get from Green Bay for a seventh round pick. That's
Ooh,
not a
see,
bad.
Pittsburgh's making moves. They
Pittsburgh
making
is making
moves because they
moves.
definitely could use Mike Williams,
Well,
and Preston
they
Smith
can.
is as
Now
nice extra
think
for the
about that
defense.
division. Think about that division
Yeah.
making moves
Yes.
like that. Yeah, because you
And
have
then the Ravens picked up a didn't they pick up a cornerback?
well
Well, it
besides
was that was White, wasn't it?
yeah
Yeah,
they
never
picked
mind.
up
Never
White.
mind.
Who they
That was
didn't
White. So we
didn't they make a trade last week or something or
yeah, they picked up Deontay Johnson from
Johnson? Yep,
yeah from
yep.
Carolina.
Carolina. Yep. We know
Yeah.
about that. We know about that one. What other trades do we got? Oh yeah, Marshawn Latimer going to Washington.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Washington is so New Orleans receives a 2025 third round draft pick, a 2025 fourth round draft pick, and a 2025 sixth round draft pick. So New Orleans made out pretty nice. That's not bad. That's really
Yeah,
not
that's a
that's not a
good
bad
pickup.
trade. Yeah, and Washington will receive um, Washington will receive their fifth round for 2025 and Marshawn Latimer. That is a good move, and I'm sure Marshawn Latimer is probably pretty happy about
Probably.
that.
The
He's
way them boys
probably
is
pretty
looking right
happy.
now, I'll be happy
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking it's not looking great for them boys
Yeah,
in New
they
Orleans. Like
started
I
out
said, they're
quick
destroying the
2 and
rebuild.
0 and then just flatlined ever since then.
Yeah, and they looked good. They looked good, but it's not been nice here over these last few weeks. What other trades we got? Of course, we talked about the Jonathan Minga. Cincinnati is making some moves. They got Khalil Herbert from Chicago for a seventh round pick,
Yeah, I
2025.
saw that.
They
I
need
saw that.
they actually do need a running back, but
Yeah, they do.
I feel like the bigger thing that they need to address is their defense. But you know,
Yep.
when you look at maybe what they have to offer and how much better could they make their defense,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah, they ain't a whole bunch. They probably don't have a whole bunch of assets to really, toss
yeah,
around. So
right,
yeah, it's a pretty good pickup. At least for a running back that he's a serviceable back. So
yeah,
it'll help him out.
it'll help. Zadarius Smith, we talked about that.
It's a
Um,
good pickup.
yeah, that's a good pickup for Detroit. Cleveland will get in return a 2025 fifth round draft pick and a 2026 sixth round draft pick. Um,
It's not bad.
it's not bad. You know, Cleveland. I would like to say that they are destroying and rebuilding too, but
They might as well be.
you really don't know with Cleveland because Cleveland is one of those teams where they never really look like they're trying to destroy and rebuild, but they never really look like they have enough to get there. But then it will kind of look like it. You know what I mean? Like they're that
hmm
team that just you never really know what they're doing.
Yeah, really. And
They
then they just bad
yeah,
too. They're
it's like they
usually bad
pretend.
coached.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they always pretend like nothing's wrong.
Yeah, and it be everything
That's
be wrong. That's the
yeah.
crazy part.
They
But yeah,
always pretend like there's nothing needs to really be addressed. So.
Yeah, but I think they kind of have a rebuild mode. You ain't got, you don't really know what your starting quarterback is all about anymore.
Yeah,
There's always questions about Deshaun Watson. He's gone with an ACL injury, so he's already was
or
looking,
Achilles.
Achilles. So he's already looking. Now he's gonna be even worse when he comes back from Achilles injury because let's
Mm,
just face it, people don't
yeah,
usually be the same
right.
you know,
Do
after these type of injuries, and then a whole host of other problems they got. They
problems.
don't have
Yeah,
an offensive line, so those two picks is probably going to go towards trying to bolster that line somewhere. I mean, it's not early picks, but
yeah,
you might be able to get somebody decent out of there.
yeah.
Um, then you done gave up Amari Cooper already, so you really don't have the biggest or the so you don't really have much of a left of a wide receiving core. They're okay.
Yeah,
So you just your defense is really your calling, and it's not looking very great this year either. I mean,
right.
it's pretty looking decent. It's okay, but not enough to get y'all wins. And Cleveland just falls in that category of just another bad coach team, or they just don't have it. They have one side of the ball, or they don't.
Hmm.
It's like you're either gonna
Right,
have a Cleveland defense and then no offense, which has
right,
been the case for many years.
right.
So
Yeah. I mean, that's generally what you're gonna get out of Cleveland. I don't think it's surprising to their fans. I think at this point, it's pretty much normal. Um,
facts.
Other trades. I mean, most of the rest of the trades for the most part were yesterday. I mean,
In the
Baron
last week,
Browning,
and yeah,
Baron Browning, and going to Arizona, linebacker from Denver. Of course, we know about the Cam Robinson
hmm
from Jacksonville going to Minnesota. So, yeah, and then all the other trades we pretty much know about. Um,
yeah. I will
I
say it's been the most like this year has been kind of one of the most busier trade deadlines I've ever seen
That's true.
in
That's true.
NFL. So
Even though they weren't like huge blockbusters,
hmm
besides the New Orleans one, I guess you could kind of, but he is
it's
a
a solid
solid.
trade,
It's a
not a
solid
blockbuster
trade,
trade, but it's a
but
solid
it's a
trade.
solid trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it has been busy. There was a lot of
hmm
pieces moved, a lot of things happened. So it has been busy. Um, but it kind of leads me into something. We're talking about the trades. A lot of these trades are due to injuries, and we've
Yes.
seen a high number of injuries.
Yes.
And with the technology that we have today, and the information that we have today, and I've mentioned this before on here is why why with the athleticism that we have today and all these things, why are we seeing such a high number of injuries? Like, why is the injury numbers continuing to grow? This
And
and so I remember when we did talk about it, you alluded to the fact that sometimes it could be that it's not as severe as we may think, but owners want to protect the assets.
hmm
But
I think some of it's in that.
but it's kind of a double-edged sword because so this is real quick before you answer. Before you answer, I just want to say what I believe is happening here is players today are overprotected, and what I mean by that is you take a flu shot, right? You take a COVID shot, you do things. You do preventative measures, but generally the preventative measure is giving, like, for example, right? You're giving somebody basically, uh, I don't know the right terminology offhand, right? I know it, but it's escaping me. But basically, you give them a form of the flu so that the
hmm
body adapts to it, right?
hmm
Um, so it, it works the same way with like muscles. When you go work out, the muscle tissue tears and regrows bigger. And
Right.
I could be wrong, and I could just be like throwing a dirt that may not stick. but I am thinking that what is happening is the players are so overprotected that they don't know how to get injured. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like it's I think that's the growing thing. I think these players throughout their lives are so protected that they can't handle the injuries the same way.
I think that's one thing that you can kind of look at it as. The other thing that I probably think might go a little bit more into it is perhaps they don't know how to train their body properly.
Yeah, could be. Yeah,
Sometimes the more technology, the nutrition or whatever, we talk about how more advanced things are. But even if you don't properly train your body, you're going to be susceptible to certain injuries. You're going to be
yeah,
susceptible to these things because you're not rehabbing correctly.
yeah.
All the things that you need to do to stay healthy. That could be some of the cases there because it's not only football that you see it in, you see it in basketball a lot too.
Basketball,
And,
baseball, yeah,
baseball too. You seeing a lot more injuries. So that, to me, that kind of leads to a nutritional thing.
yeah,
We talk about, because you talk about when we talk about players of the, and don't want to be sounding like no old head, but you talk about players of the past and how they played through a lot of injuries, which could lead to what you're saying is being so protective you don't know how to be injured,
yeah. You
or
don't.
you
You're
don't know how to actually play through pain that you got.
right,
Um,
right,
so I mean, it's not to say that people back in those days weren't often injured as well, but they just learned how to play through pain differently.
right,
You
right.
know what I'm saying? This day and age, you got a different type of game to where you're much more protected, not only just from the owner's perspective, but you're protected on the field a lot more.
Yeah,
Um,
with the yeah, 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 with the
yeah,
calls and the rules and things like that.
exactly.
Yeah,
But I think it just kind of comes down to, are they being properly trained right as far as rehabbing from their injuries?
yeah,
All this medicine and modern medicine and things that we do have, it helps that we innovate, but does the body really, is that the proper way for this person to, is it right for this person, is it
right.
right for that person? Because not all things that you do for each individual is going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's body is different. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You got people that constantly get, they might constantly get ankle sprains, or things like that,
Right,
ligament joints, all these things, depending on how you're putting your weight on them, how much
mm-hmm.
strain are you putting on them. Resistance, you kind of would think, well, if you do a lot of resistance training, you'll be able to
Training.
help with things like that. But sometimes it might not be what your body really needs. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Your body might need something else. So it's, I guess it's like a thought process of trying to learn. The players might not know how to learn how to properly prepare their body
right.
for the grit and grind of the seasons, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And that's what I think is kind of leading to, or starting to look like, or alluding to, is like, you're not properly training, or you don't know how your body recovers or recuperates,
mm-hmm.
or the proper ways to do these things.
Right,
And when you constantly, and then you can just say, like, when you constantly are updating modern medicine to try to do things quicker, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the
right.
things that we get is supposed to you're supposed to have quicker gains, recovery times, and things
Time,
like
yeah,
that.
right.
But that's probably not what your body actually needs.
Needs,
Your
right.
body needs to be able to recover on its own time,
Yeah,
not trying to trick it to do something that's going to make it faster. So when you're doing something faster, it's not always the same quality. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's my thought process. I'm not saying I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
just kind of like,
yeah.
it is crazy. I don't know, but that's just my thought process on how things might be. They're just not properly trained right
Right.
to nourish their body the way it needs to be, or work their body the way it needs to be worked
Needs
in
to
order
be
to
right.
take the impacts that they are taking.
Well, I think about too. So I read a book called Anxious Generation, and it talks about like generally the people born after like 1995, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about how like when those people were like 8 and 10 or whatever, like more technology was given to them in place of um, other in place of like with parenting and things like that, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was like just put a device in front of them to keep them distracted.
Yep.
And what happened is things became after that time period, things became dangerous for kids to go outside with all
Mm-hmm.
the crazy stuff going on, and parents became overprotective outside and underprotective with all the devices, right?
Right.
And with that said, part of what he was explaining in the book was that when the parents became overprotective outside, kids didn't play outside as much alone, and
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't know how to get hurt. Like when I played as an 8, 9, 10 year old, I remember falling out of a treehouse and I walked like 2 miles home,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't nothing. There was I walked and eventually I wasn't limping no more, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was fine. I remember like having a gash in my leg walking home, and my mom just put some alcohol on it, wrapped it in
Mm-hmm.
gauze, and we kept it moving. Looking back now, I should have gotten stitches, right? I
Yeah.
should have gotten stitches, but I didn't, right? It could have
Yeah.
became infected or something, like who knows.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like we got hurt differently, and we learned how to get hurt, and we learned and the brain taught us how to fall. Like it literally says that in the book. Like our brain taught us how to fall. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
fallen that way, and we knew how that felt, and we learn how to fall differently, right? Something as
Mm-hmm.
small as that. And it made me think about the injuries today in sports, and those people that are currently playing, those younger people that are in their 20s that are currently playing. I'm like, I wonder how much of that is involved. You know what I
Right.
mean? It just made me think of that. And
Right.
I know it's a rabbit hole, and there's probably 1,000 different professional people that could give us 1,000 different
Mm-hmm.
answers. But it's just a theory, just something to talk about.
But it also goes back to it almost kind of like you going back to like how it said one time about in the podcast, like football is just not a physical sport, it's mental too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is your mind mentally prepared to deal
Prepared
with
for it.
what you got coming on? Because
Right.
pain, although it is a physical thing, pain is also a mental thing. You know what I'm saying?
Very,
People
very
don't
much
really think
so.
about that because,
Very
you
much so.
know, you ever look at people and you be like, man, you all right? And they might see that they dang hand be done messed up and
Yeah.
all right, let's just keep going. They
Yeah.
playing through pain, adrenaline rush, things like
Adrenaline.
that.
Yeah.
But if your body ain't used to the mental aspect, ain't
Aspect
tough,
of it. Yeah.
anything can hurt your body. You know what I'm saying? You could be
Yeah.
sitting here and you accidentally just do some weird, like, and hit a corner of a desk, just a little. And some people, it's the worst thing in the world. But other people is just like they hit the corner of desk and keep on going, like
Keep it
whatever.
moving.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Right.
so it's just it's a mental thing, I think, as well as a physical thing, because
Mm-hmm.
and some people, they just, I mean, we already know some people aren't built for, they don't have the same pain tolerance, which that ain't make it a different as far as, like, saying that a person ain't injured even just because they can deal with the pain more. But it's
Right.
just that makes the person look like they ain't injured because they constantly want to still be in. And everybody plays hurt. Let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
call it a spade a spade. Everybody
Yeah.
plays hurt.
That's
You do
reality.
not play any sport and sit here and tell me that you ain't hurting in some type of way.
Way. Yeah.
It's too much contact.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a physical and mental thing, and I just think that some people aren't prepared or aren't training their bodies to be able to take certain impacts, and that's what we're seeing, a lot of things like that,
I
mentally
I
and physically.
I agree. And so with that, that leads me into Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, we know he's been benched for Joe Flacco.
Mm-hmm.
He came out and said he was tired. That is a conditioning thing, right?
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Here's before we go down the rabbit hole of that, when he came out of Florida, I remember you go back through my Facebook. I remember saying he hasn't done nothing impressive to me in college. Like I
Hmm.
wasn't sold on him in college. He didn't
Right.
have the game experience, in my opinion. I
Hmm.
think people only saw the upside, but I don't think he was conditioned enough to come to the NFL. My personal opinion. I said that.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that he doesn't have talent. Clearly he does because he's gotten thus far.
Hmm.
Um, but with Anthony Richardson, you speak of the mental, and I think I would have to say that everything that happened in that transaction, like with him saying, I was just tired and I needed a break, I think all of that was like, I think it was mental. I think that was a mental toughness thing. And I question when we look at his injuries and we look at the last couple years, you know, how much of it is mental, how much of it is the pain tolerance, whatever, right?
Hmm.
And I'm not telling players to go out here and play like if with serious injuries, but
Yeah.
I am saying that we do have to question, is Anthony Richardson mentally prepared for an NFL career?
Eh, I don't go that far. I think for me, I don't make much of the situation like other people do. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so the man was tired in the game. He's
Okay.
running around like a lot. He's expending a lot of energy in that offense because a lot of times he is doing a lot of running around.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to think about it. Last year, how many games did he really play to get acclimated before he went down with an injury that he had to start trying to rehab and try to condition or whatever you have to do? It's different when you're playing in a game, being game speed, and then you're just conditioning on the sidelines or whatever. So he got injured early last year. That took away some of his time from being able to really actually, get in game shape. You know what I'm saying? This year you come in, technically almost like it's his rookie year again because he only played like what 4 games, 3 or 4 games last year
Yeah.
before he was pretty much sidelined the whole rest of this season.
Very true.
Come in this year, you know what I'm saying? You get a little bit of off season, but you got that rehab to go through, get your body back into a shape for playing football again, and then trying to acclimate yourself to be able to play a full season of pro football, you know what I'm saying, at a
Right.
high level, high pace. And then you got to deal with an offense that really ain't chugging on anything, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he's constantly trying to make plays with his legs, move around. He's constantly running around in the backfield. You know, there's a lot of things that go on with it. And I kind of go with it could be some of the mental aspects, but I don't make much of a man saying, "Hey, look, I just need one play to come out and give me a little break, and I'm gonna run back in there and keep doing it."
I,
There's people. I don't see a problem with it because, of course, any other position has the ability to just come out for a play and come back
not
in.
offensive
With
lineman.
No, not mostly, not. But there are times where people do rotate offensive linemen, but it doesn't happen as often. It's usually when they're injured. A lot of times, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. But you know, still, even still, it's still the fact that I don't put the stock into it. He came out for a play. If he never said that he was tired, we wouldn't be talking about this conversation. If he just said that, oh, I got banged up or nicked up or whatever, I had to just come out for a play, we wouldn't say anything. We would just be like, "Oh, he's tough."
That's
But to
that's
me,
true.
it's just what he said, and now everybody wants to take it because now they know he gave a truthful asset of what was really going down. And I really don't, to be honest, I don't care. He needs to just have more game time experience so he can get acclimated to the game. Because college, let's just be real. In college, a lot of teams aren't running 50, 60, 70 plays a game
Yeah.
like they do in the NFL. because college is a lot faster. Teams are typically a lot of teams are a lot of one sidedness. You know what I'm saying? Like your athletes are pretty much just gonna he ain't got to do much. Let's just do this, and then we athleticism kills everything. NFL, it ain't the same. It's a faster game. Everybody's fast. Game speed's faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see him kind of with a little bit of experience that he has. I'm a little winded right now. I'm gonna take a. Can I just get one play and I get right back into it? To me, it's no. I don't really make big stock of it. I think what they should do, if they want to bench him like they did last game, fine, bench him for a game. But he needs to starting again because you need him game speed,
They've already
conditioned, and
said
ready.
Flacco for the rest of the year.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever thought of. You
I,
seen Flacco on Sunday?
yeah, I mean, I watched it.
He looked terrible, man. They want Flacco from last year that did some crazy thing in Cleveland, but they don't have the same type of offense. They don't have the same type of team Cleveland has. You know what I'm saying? Like Cleveland has had a defense that can let him rest up on the sideline. And that's another thing that people aren't really talking about. It's like that boy don't never rest. Heck, his offense, his defense ain't doing nothing but giving up points anyway, so that boy ain't got no time to rest. He's always on the field. So it's like, let me get a playoff. But he needs the game conditioning, man. Let that man play. Put him back into the game. Let him play so he can get the game conditioning. Let him do that. And then, because it wasn't like it would have been a bigger problem for me if he came out of the game and sat on the bench for a whole 4, 5, 6 series or something because he was tired. He came out for one play.
Yeah.
Big deal. Who cares? He came out for one play and went back on the field. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you on that. I hear you. I feel you. I see where you're coming from, and I
He's
think
young. He's young, and like you said, he already came in with not a whole lot of experience on being on the field.
Yeah.
When he was at Florida, he wasn't on the field a whole. 13 games in college ain't much, and your team was losing. So
yeah, they were. I wasn't. I still wasn't sold on him, even with what I saw. I didn't see.
Yeah.
I didn't see enough.
I wouldn't call him a number 1 or 2 pick like he went as high as he went, but
yeah, I would. Yeah.
But I think to me him coming out of the game saying that he's tired is more of a knock against the Indianapolis Colts than I see against him, because you should be conditioning your guy properly to where he can take an NFL game.
Right.
But like you said, like you seen, if you gonna bench him for the rest of the year, what does that do for him?
Right.
It doesn't do anything. He's not gonna be game ready. It's just like what they did with Bryce Young. You bench him for a while, then that's not, you already started out bad with him with the way he is. Like if you don't have an offensive line or you don't have anything else going, you got these rookie players or young talents out there running with like a chicken with their head cut off.
Right. Well, Bryce Young looked decent on Sunday.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. He looked pretty decent on Sunday. I give him that.
Right. Well, we have that. We have both opinions on that. Man, we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk about some NBA stuff. I'm not seeing a lot of people really talk about it, man, but it is a big deal, man. It's kind of to me, it's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. The Milwaukee Bucks, man, they're 1-6 currently. They lost to Cleveland. What was that last night?
Yeah. I will say that they lost 2 games. I will say they lost 2 hard-fought games against Cleveland, though. They lost by 2 points twice or something like that. Like Mitchell hit a game winner or something like that. Then they lost the other night by 2. So it ain't that bad. And Cleveland is shown to be a really good team this year, especially starting out very hot and strong quickly. Yeah, I think Milwaukee's problem. Man, they shouldn't have fired Adrian Griffin.
That's what it comes down to. That's what
they
it comes
shouldn't have,
down to.
they shouldn't have fired Adrian Griffin. Um, I mean, the defense just ain't there.
It's not.
That's what it
So
is.
in terms of defense, they're 26th in defense efficiency.
Mm.
119.4 points per 100 possessions. 119.4 points per 100 possessions.
I mean, at least they ain't bad. They ain't last.
They ain't last, but
But
I
they
need to go.
terrible,
I
man.
need to go. I need to go see who's last.
Bro, that's crazy. That's
Um, they're
crazy.
21st in offense efficiency, which
Mhm.
is 110.7 points per 100 possessions.
I mean, when you roll it with just two superstars, like they just got
Damian
Giannis
Lillard.
and Dame, really.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Your core people, I like Dame. Dame is a great guard. You know what I'm saying? He brings that firepower, but this is how you notice the difference in the impact of a Drew Holiday and a Dame Lillard.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what
It
I'm saying?
is.
Because Drew Holiday is giving you offense and defense.
And
Dame Lillard
defense,
gives you
both
nothing but
sides.
offense.
Both
Yeah.
sides of the ball.
So it's like you're looking at it and it's just like you can get buckets, but can you get stops?
Yeah.
And of course, they still got banged up players out there. Middleton, he's starting the season again banged up.
Yeah.
You still got a little banged up players. And I like Doc Rivers, but I don't think they should have fired Adrian Griffin. First of all, firing somebody after they're going 32 and like 18,
It's crazy work.
bruh, like really?
Yeah.
He's 14 games above 500. Then when Doc comes in, y'all barely could stay above water. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And granted, your big three ain't been on the floor all the time.
Time. Yeah.
Giannis missed the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So they're constantly battling injuries, but I think the chemistry just isn't there. That's what I
Yeah.
really honestly think. It's just It's a big
Over
chemistry issue.
overall.
Yeah,
Because even
yeah.
like, okay, so they're currently 1-6, right? Since 1970, 150 NBA teams have started 1-6. Only 12 of those teams made the playoffs.
That's crazy, man.
Right now, Doc Rivers, he says we're gonna make the playoffs. Those statistics don't matter.
I mean, with the talent
You
that they
got
get,
you gotta he believes that they're gonna turn it around. But here's my big issue. It's not like when Doc took over last year, all of a sudden they went on some streak where they're like, oh, they're good now. It's
hmm
been the struggle since last year.
yes.
So if you couldn't fix it by the end of last year, what is changed this year?
Nothing. That's why
Bingo.
they're still struggling. Nothing has changed.
That's the thing.
The
And so
only thing
that's
and now you're bringing in. I mean, now you got the rumors swirling around about Giannis wanting to
wanting to
leave
be, yep,
and be traded, which I'll get into that in a second.
yeah,
But yeah, nothing's changed. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
you starting out. I mean, like I said, Middleton is out, so that's another firepower. And Middleton ain't no slouch defensively. He's okay.
He's
You know what I'm
okay, yeah,
saying? But you don't really you didn't do anything in the off season to really replenish your defense.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another big problem right there. And they're gonna struggle, man. They're gonna struggle constantly, and I don't really think Dame and Giannis have the chemistry that you would think a 1-2 punch should have.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
clearly
I
not
don't.
there.
Yeah, I don't think it meshes well.
Yeah,
I
it's
think what. Yeah, go ahead.
no, it's clearly not there, and you have to believe that at some point Giannis has understood that. I believe because I would like to say that he's going to understand it. But I think he
Mhm.
understands that. I think he understands that this is not working. I think that Doc Rivers understands that clearly something is not working,
Mhm.
and the team has understood that something is not working. Again, we're talking about last season is trickling down into this season. Nothing has changed, but that
Mhm.
leads me to ask you now: if Giannis is going to be traded, where is the best fit for him? Who is pulling the trigger on that? Who is making that trade?
Hmm. I could see him in Miami, but
Mm,
they need him. You know what I'm saying? And but with
mm,
Miami though, Miami would be a nice tough spot for him. But I'm thinking about what they have to give up to get him, and they don't really have a lot. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like especially if you want to keep a core of like, because Giannis gives them another tall body. You know what I'm saying?
right.
They really need one that's going to be about that.
That's
You know that body that's going to be down
mm,
there. But they also still need shooting. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you're looking at them. Miami could be a good destination, which that was one of the teams that is rumored
yeah.
for
But
them
that
for
would
him to kind of
have to
go
be
to.
like a crazy package
Yeah.
because I mean you got to
Yes.
think you got
You think a
Jimmy
three
and you got
team.
Bam out of Bayou. You're not
Yeah.
giving
You
either one of them up.
exactly. So you think a 3 team trade, three
Yeah,
blockbuster trade like that when you're talking about that.
right.
Um, who else do I have on my radar that he probably could fit well with? Uh, hmm, that's a good question. I haven't given much thought about who else could use a Giannis.
Well, maybe a Utah.
Yeah, but they already in rebuild mode. I don't see Giannis them even spending the coins to going to get Giannis. They seem like more of a team that, with their injuries and the way that they've been playing this year,
Yeah.
I don't think Utah could. Well, they have the
Here's
young assets, that's for sure.
yeah, they have the young assets. And
Mm,
you got to look at it from the standpoint of Milwaukee needs something young so that they can uh
yeah,
you know what I mean? You got to look
yeah,
at it from both perspectives. So Milwaukee
yeah,
will look at it from a perspective of they have some young parts we might be able to use.
yeah. That's true. But then you got to look at it from the standpoint of I don't know if Giannis got a no trade clause or anything like that, but is somebody like Utah really gonna risk trying to get a Giannis and then he not staying there?
That's true too.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true
Even though I
too.
think he's still under a pretty good healthy contract, because I know he got an extension like not just too recently.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Utah could be
if
one of those ones.
if he can't play with Damian Lillard, he can't play with Trey Young. But Atlanta was one of those teams I thought
Atlanta,
about.
Atlanta would be nice.
It
Atlanta,
was one of
well,
those.
he actually he might be able to play with a Trey Young. Only
Yeah,
reason why I say that is because okay, so when you're looking at the difference between a Dame Lillard and a Trey Young, yeah, Trey Young doesn't have no defense either. Dame Lillard lacks defense, but Trey Young does something that Damian Lillard doesn't do. Is that Trey Young is better at running an offense as far as a point guard perspective. You don't
that
get
is
20
valid
something.
point.
You don't get 20 points a game and like 10 and almost lead the league in assists every year or something like that off of just you know being a pure scorer. You know what I'm saying? So he's not
Valid
really a
point.
pure scorer. He's just somebody that can actually score, but he also can facilitate the ball real good. So Atlanta would be interesting. Atlanta would be interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
he can always come to
that's what I was
Chicago. You
thinking.
know what I'm saying? I
Look,
had to slip that in.
you know what? Here's the thing about Chicago, man.
Not too
Anything
much.
any anything that makes sense that would work for them, it seems like they just don't be wanting to do it.
No,
I don't.
man, no,
Yeah, man.
I don't. I mean, yeah, man, I gave up on a front office. I mean, I'm glad we don't have guard
Yeah.
Foreman and what you call him anymore.
Right.
That's cool. But yeah, that's one of them hopes and a dream type ordeal.
Yeah.
Um,
Y'all got some young
so
pieces too, though.
not good enough. But yeah, they're pretty decent. They're solid. I wish
They,
we didn't have Giddy, but they've been playing pretty solid ball at least for what they got.
for what they have, I've been a little surprised.
Hmm. Yeah,
From what I've watched, I've been like,
me
okay,
too.
they're not trash.
Yeah, they're middle of a pack team right now.
Yeah.
Literally middle
Yeah.
like a middle of pack team. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, not very many teams that I see will go is going to like, especially like I can you want to look at like let's just look at it. Cleveland. Giannis could benefit from going to there, but Cleveland's not trying to get rid of their core. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
no, Cleveland.
That would be too
Yeah, they
crazy.
Cleveland don't want to mess up nothing right
Yeah.
now. The chemistry that they have, Cleveland is
Hmm.
not trying to mess nothing up right now.
No,
They're completely
can't
comfortable.
I can't see him fitting in like Orlando.
Mm,
No, Orlando's too young. They don't want to break that up either because
no.
they actually got a pretty solid team right now.
I,
Um,
I mean, honestly, besides Utah, all I thought was Atlanta, and my only
yeah,
question mark was could he play with Trey Young?
yeah, yeah. Atlanta. He can go to Portland too. You know.
Yeah, but I just don't see
Yeah,
nothing happening.
I don't see it either.
That ain't
So
it.
yeah, I think he just needs to. It's either that or just stay put. But see, my
Yeah,
thing about Giannis is, I feel like you know you made your bed, so now it's time for you to sleep in it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because you're the reason why Adrian Griffin is not there. I don't see
yeah.
any other reason why a team that is winning has a winning record, especially the record that they had, which was
Hey,
32 and 18.
yeah,
Why would you fire the coach that you just hired, technically,
yeah,
in the middle of the season for like a Doc Rivers? The Doc was the advisor for Adrian Griffin. You know, he was helping them out still.
yeah.
But why would you do that?
No, yeah, I'm with
We
you.
didn't have no locker room rumbles about anything else other than I guess it just seems like Giannis was the problem. He didn't
Yeah,
want Adrian Griffin to be there.
yeah,
Um, so now that he's not there and you got who you wanted in place and y'all ain't gelling well,
right.
now look at you.
Now
You
look
know
at
what I'm
us. Yep.
saying? It's like you made these things because I know that they talked to him.
Well, yeah,
They had
absolutely.
to have because
Yeah,
he's the only person
he's
that
your guy. Yeah,
yeah. So do you know they go to you? How they keep
yeah,
you? Hey, the NASA shouldn't even be on the NBA roster, but he's still on the Bucks. Why? He ain't doing
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
At
wait,
all.
keeping your brother happy. You know what I'm saying? You know, keeping a gold mine happy. So
Right.
it's just like it's too much of he has too much of a voice, and I
Yeah.
think that you shouldn't be traded. You should lay your head down in that sand,
And ride it
bury it
out.
down in there, and just ride it out with him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
that's what I think about with Giannis. You know what I'm saying? I like Giannis, but he's starting to kind of work my nerves with the way he's acting divish with some of this stuff
Yeah.
to me. So it's just like, nah, you need to make your team right.
Yeah.
You might need
No.
to change up your game or something. You know what I'm saying? Do
Yeah.
something.
I feel you on that, and that's one of those things where I feel like either so here's the thing if they haven't figured it out by Christmas,
Hmm.
um, then at the end of the season the whole thing gets blown up.
Yes, I
The
agree.
whole thing gets
I
blown up,
agree.
right?
Yep,
So
it's time to trade for assets
yeah,
and rebuild.
exactly. Just the whole thing gets blown up like that time ran, and
Hmm.
you got you a championship out of it. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
got you a championship out of it. Um, now let's talk about, because we talked about this trade, the Carl Anthony Towns
Mm-hmm.
and Josh and Julius Randle.
Mm-hmm.
After, I know we're still early in the season, but I remember I said this. It looked like to me Minnesota got better and New York didn't really. It looks like right now that's what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. Um,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I
You,
believe Julius Randle just fits better there.
I would agree with it. I would agree with it.
I've watched
I
I've
think,
watched both teams, and yeah,
yeah, I think just looking at it and then thinking about coaching type, right? To play for Thibodeau, you gotta be a dog.
yeah,
Like you really gotta have that grit and grind mentality to really be a Thibodeau type player.
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? And Julius Randle has that mentality.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? He's really one of those dog play grit and grind. So
right,
he keeping that mentality, and he's bringing that same mentality that you got with him.
hmm.
And then you got your Anthony Edwards that's kind of
Who
got
has
that
that
mentality
same
too.
big
You know what I'm
bam?
saying?
Yep.
It gels a lot better with that. And I didn't even think about that the first time when we was first talking about it. Like
Hmm.
Carl Anthony on talent alone, you know what I'm saying? Carl Anthony Towns, he's I would say he's a little bit better as far as skill wise than a Julius Randle. A
Right,
little bit. Not
right,
too much outside of like he's got a better 3-point shot, but that's kind of where I keep that line. That's
right,
you
right,
talking about somebody could stretch it a little bit further,
right.
but when it comes to that dog in you, Julius Randle got that. And Carl Anthony Towns, sometimes he gets some games where he got it, and in other games he just kind of disappears. Like,
Yeah.
where is he at?
Where's he at?
Like,
Yeah,
and I see that, and it just fits better schematically in Minnesota for Randall.
yeah. Hmm.
And Carl Anthony Towns, he's just not a typical. Now, not to say that eventually he can't get there.
Right.
Maybe middle of the season, we'll see. Like Christmas time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of seems like the time of the year where you see teams starting to kind of gel and mesh,
And get it
players
right.
starting to get
Yeah,
acclimated. So
yeah,
when he's starting to actually get under that belt, that umbrella, getting that, seeing how Thibodeau really runs, you know what I'm saying, getting that grit and grind, we'll see how he really benefits from that and how he transitions.
yeah. Right.
But I will say Minnesota right now does have the upper hand in that trade to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said, it was one of those trades where it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of, well, it caught me off guard. I definitely didn't
Yeah,
expect it. I didn't
really,
even
I
know
didn't
that
either.
was. I didn't know that that was even something that was an option.
I
But
think it caught
is
everybody off guard.
I think so. But I also think nobody really knew what to expect. But
Hmm.
my first thought was Julia. Remember, I said the first. I thought Julius Randle is more of a. He moves differently. He fits better with Anthony Edwards. Like he's gonna fit better in that
Yeah,
offense
you did say that.
versus you know somebody
Towns.
that's pretty much, I'm gonna shoot the three mostly. Like I'm not gonna get physical.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
Julius Randle's like, I'm gonna, if I can outplay you physically, I'm gonna outplay you physically. Right?
Exactly.
We can get physical if you want to. Now I'll
A
shoot
little
this three
bully
if you
ball.
give me the space.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm also, I don't mind being a bully and being physical either.
Facts. Big
And
facts.
so I just thought that was the fit that worked, because
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I think Anthony Edwards feeds on as well. Like I think that dynamic and that nucleus and people being able to play with each other off on and off the ball. I
Hmm.
think it fit
It
that those
gels
pieces
well
fit
better.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it does. It does.
yeah,
It does. You right about that. You was
so
right about that one.
well,
Definitely.
let's get into y'all must have forgot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Let's get
let's
into
get
that.
into it. We got this
So
week.
this week, Darren Williams,
Darren
Utah
Williams,
Jazz,
Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz, Brooklyn Nets.
16.3 points per game for his career.
Mm-hmm.
8.1 assists for his career. And we could talk about the numbers. I mean, he shot 44.5% from field goal range throughout
Mm-hmm.
his career, which is solid. Which is
Yeah.
which is
Oh yeah.
really which that's really solid numbers. But I love to talk about, what do we love to talk about? The dogs.
Yes.
The dog players.
Yes. Yes,
The ones
sir.
that had that fight and bite in them.
Oh yeah.
And
And he was one of them.
and he was one of them,
He
man.
was
When I
one of them.
talk, he had that. He was coming to kill every night. Every night he played, he was
Yeah,
coming to kill,
boy.
man.
Yeah,
He wasn't
boy.
playing no games. Point guard, one of them dog aggressive, and he was a bigger point guard too.
Yes. Was it like
Yeah, he was
6'3", something like that?
yeah 6'2",
Six
6'3",
two, six
and
three. Yeah.
yeah, and but he
Yeah.
was he
He
had
was a
a
dog.
good
Like
yeah, good build and
if,
just yeah.
if people, I don't. I think people really sleep on his skills. Like when the time that he was in the league, especially early in the league with Utah,
Yeah,
that Utah team,
yeah,
you were literally talking like when you mentioned best point guards in the league. A lot of conversation was who's better, Darren Williams, Chris Paul. You remember
yeah.
that
He was
conversation?
in the conversation. He
Man, that
was.
conversation, because you
He was
talking
part of
about
that
both of them were
conversation.
2010, 2011. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
2010, 20 points per game, 10
Yeah,
assists,
yeah,
easy buckets. They both got that dog in them.
yeah.
Yeah, man. He was. I was on the Chris Paul bandwagon, but he he was a tough one.
He
He was
was
a
a
tough
tough
one.
one.
He had that Utah Jazz squad real tough. Then they had like Karolinko and them boys
Yeah.
back in that day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. But them boys was tough. And then when
Well,
he went to Brooklyn,
yeah. I
he
was gonna
still
say
was
he
pretty
was still
tough at
solid at
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. He was
He
still
still
solid
was
at
tough at
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
And he
Yeah.
really, I mean, if you look at it, he really, even when you look at his percentages, were still good in Dallas.
Hmm.
He was still shooting 41% in Dallas.
Yeah.
He didn't. His shot volume wasn't the same, but he was still efficient when he went to
Yes.
Dallas.
Yes. Yes. He was a dog, man.
Yeah.
He was a
He,
dog, and I just happened to run across a video of what they was talking about him on one of the little videos, and I was like, dog, yeah, that's what I want to talk about this time around, because we
yeah.
had somebody else,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I had to be like, I was like, dog, I forgot. I forgot
Yeah, you
about
forgot
him.
about him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because even when you text me, I was like, I'll be cool with that. Like, cause
Yeah.
cause he's one of them ones where you'll forget, but you gotta go back and look.
Yeah,
So
he was nasty with it.
yeah, he really
Nasty with
was.
it.
Yeah,
I like Darren Williams.
me too.
Man. I
Yeah,
think that if y'all don't know who he is or y'all haven't seen him, go watch some of them highlights of Darren Williams. Just Google him,
yeah,
Darren Williams.
yeah.
You will see that man. That man was tough on the court. He
Yeah.
was tough on the court, boy.
He was. He was a baller. He was a baller for sure. Um, if you could if you could go and look at his highlight reels and then kind of compare it to like this is for the people watching. I'm asking y'all, just go back, look at his film, look at his highlights and stuff, and kind of compare it to the point guards of today, and understand what I say when I say that the point guards from and granted Darren Williams came into the league like 04-05 season,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't exactly the 90s, but there was a certain level of toughness and physicality that he had
Mm-hmm.
that is completely different than you see with the point guards today. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I say when I say it's such a different time. It's
Yes.
such a different time. So when you go back and look at his stuff, go back and look at and go look at the point guards of today, and you will understand what I mean when I say there's such a difference.
Oh yeah, it's a big difference. It's a
Yeah.
big difference the way that they play point guard. Like
Right.
nowadays, it's an athleticism position
Right.
because there's a lot of them. Either you're going to be a 3-point shooter or you are going to be a slashing, high flying point guard. You
Yeah.
know, it's either or. Like you
Right.
got your Ja Morant types or
Yeah.
you got your Steph Currys. It's
Right.
pretty much one or two. You
Right.
know,
That's it. Yeah.
but during that time, you're talking about efficient PG play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't just it wasn't just about scoring. They had it to where they can score and facilitate.
Yep.
Per
And get back on
and
defense.
yeah, and play defense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they were really strong defensively.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's what we mean about the point guard position and things like that when we talk. We ain't just trying to be no old heads. It's just the things that we see
It's
about the
different.
game
Yeah.
that's a lot different now. I
Yeah.
appreciate the point guards that we see in today's game, but I definitely appreciate the ones of back then because they had the traditional aspect as
Right.
well as the aspect to I can create a bucket.
Yeah.
And that's what people like Darren Williams brought to the table. He can create a bucket and he can get you the bucket.
Right.
And man, the boy is nice.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
boy is
He
nice.
was. Real quick before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you: did you see that Ja Morant play
Yes, I did.
where he went up for the
Yeah, well, he looked
dunk
like he was about to dunk on somebody,
and
and
mid-air his body turned and
yes,
did you how,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
bro yeah man when I saw that that I was like, oh no.
Bruh.
It was two things recently where I was like, bro, that and the Saquon Barkley backwards jump over somebody.
That one, bruh. You
I'm
talk
like,
about some exciting plays, bro.
yeah.
Though, man,
I still
that's
don't
what.
know how you in the air like this and you make your body. I don't know.
Bruh, like, but that's what we was talking about. Like, you could appreciate the game
Yeah, you still
how
can.
it is now with those
Yeah.
because dog. When I saw that, I thought he was about to bang on old buddy.
I did.
I was like, Ja about to get it, and then
Yeah.
I said, boy.
Yeah.
We missed out on something when he was out of the league, out for those that
Yeah.
long injury, and then his
Yeah.
off the court antics.
Yeah.
You miss out when you
We-
watching
hey,
that man play, dog.
because he is
You
exciting.
were missing
He
out.
is exciting. I love it. I love
Ja
it.
Morant is a beast out there,
Yeah,
boy.
he is. Yeah,
Golly,
he
dog.
is.
But yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, this mug. I know he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the
That was wild.
Saquon Barkley was just a trip.
Oh yeah, where
He wasn't even paying attention. He just
Yeah.
jumped and just
hit the spin
like he
move.
knew the dude was there. Like
After the spin move was like you back, like golly. Yeah, that was insane.
that was
insane.
crazy
Yeah.
work. That
Yeah.
was crazy
Yeah,
work.
it was.
Yeah, that was nice. That they gave us some nice highlights this weekend, and
Yeah, they did.
that was crazy work. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that thoroughly.
me too. Yeah, man. Well, as always, I appreciate you joining me for the podcast.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be right back at it next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. All right. See you next Tuesday. Hey, I got you. Oh man, I texted you this, but just
All
sitting here
right.
waiting on you. Sitting here
Okay.
waiting on you.
All right.
So
Hey, we gonna be on it. See, I told you because you
yeah,
said you ain't gonna be on no
yeah,
PS5.
yeah.
You ain't
You ain't
gonna be on
got
no PS. Hey,
you ain't
look.
got no PS5,
Yeah,
man.
look. We back. Hey, we about to be on it. It's about to be grind
You,
time on NBA 2K.
you, you ain't got no PS5. I still don't believe
All
it.
right,
But all right,
man.
man. Yes,
Peace.
sir. Peace out.